At the heart of the tragedies and triumphs of the first age of Middle-earth lies the tale of the Silmarils, 3 legendary jewels created by the masterful Fëanor. Welcome back to Fairly Fictional, where today we explore the momentous prophecy of the rediscovery of the Silmarils, uncover their hidden locations, and reveal their world-changing destiny that will shape the ultimate fate of Arda. Born of Fëanor's unmatched skill in the Land of Aman, the Silmarils contain the light of the 2 trees, Laurelin and Telperion, and symbolized both the beauty and peril of pure, undying desire. Fëanor alone knew the secrets of their making, capturing this divine light in a crystalline substance, Silima, which he had crafted for this purpose. It was said that none could ever duplicate the Silmarils, for the jewels held a radiance as sacred as it was unattainable, a light that enchanted and tainted the hearts of all who sought them. Vada, the Queen of the Valar, blessed the Silmarils so that no mortals nor evil hands could touch them without being burned. But in this hallowing, she foresaw perhaps the doom that lay in their splendour. For Melkor saw the light of the Silmarils and was overcome with envy. The allure of their light ignited his desire to possess them, and his poisonous words began corrupting even Fëanor himself, sowing seeds of distrust and resentment in Valinor. In an act that plunged Valinor into darkness, Morgoth, with the monstrous Ungoliant by his side, destroyed the 2 trees of Valinor. When the Valar pleaded with Fëanor to surrender the Silmarils to restore the trees, he refused, consumed by pride and possessiveness. The disaster deepened when Melkor murdered Fëanor's father, Finwë, stealing the Silmarils and fleeing to Middle-earth. In his fury and grief, Fëanor cursed Melkor and named him Morgoth, the enemy, and vowed vengeance. Driven by an unbreakable fury, Fëanor and his sons swore a dreadful oath to reclaim the Silmarils, vowing to slay anyone who dared withhold them. This oath, fierce and irrevocable, bound them and their descendants in relentless pursuit, fated to bring ruin upon the Noldor. With this, they led their kin back to Middle-earth, igniting the War of the Jewels, an era of bloodshed that would scar Middle-earth for ages. In the centuries of war that followed, countless lives were claimed, yet the Silmarils remained beyond the reach of Fëanor's sons. One of the Silmarils eventually became entangled in the legendary tale of Beren and Luthien. Beren, a mortal man, fell in love with Luthien, the beautiful daughter of King Thingol of Doriath. Skeptical of Beren's worthiness, Thingol demanded that he retrieve a Silmaril from Morgoth's Iron Crown as the price for Luthien's hand, believing it an impossible feat. But Beren and Luthien, together, achieved the unimaginable, breaching Morgoth's fortress. Before the very dark throne of Morgoth, the great enemy prepared to have both Beren and Luthien seized and slain. But Luthien, with unmatched grace and power, wove an enchantment of song and dance so beguiling that it cast Morgoth and his entire court into a deep, unbreakable slumber. In that moment of stillness, Beren seized his chance, and with trembling resolve, cut a Silmaril from the Iron Crown. As Beren and Luthien made their escape, they faced a final, fearsome obstacle, Carcharoth, the ravenous wolf. Before Luthien could lull him into sleep, Carcharoth attacked. In a desperate attempt to repel the beast, Beren held forth the Silmaril, but Carcharoth bit down, severing Beren's hand and swallowing the Silmaril whole. The Silmaril's holy light burned within the wolf, consuming him from the inside and driving him mad. In agony, Carcharoth rampaged through Beleriand, earning the name Anfalglir, the Jaws of Thirst. His frenzied path brought him to Doria, where Beren, King Thingol, the skilled hunters Beleg Cuthalion and Mablung, and the mighty hound Huan united for the fateful hunting of the wolf. The final confrontation took place within Doriath itself. Huan and Carcharoth met in a fierce battle, each sacrificing their lives in the struggle. Beren, too, lay mortally wounded from the clash. When Mablung cut open Carcharoth, he discovered the Silmaril within. still clutched by Beron's severed hand. Stricken with grief after Beron's death, Luthien died and passed to the halls of Mandos, where she sang a song of such sorrow that it moved even the heart of Mandos. Through a rare gift, both Luthien and Beron were restored to life, sharing a mortal fate and dwelling together on Tol Galen in Osiriand, apart from others. After Mablung retrieved the Silmaril from the belly of the beast, the recovered Silmaril came to Thingol, who had it set within the famed necklace, the Norglamir, crafted by the dwarves of Nogrod. But the jewel's beauty once again inspired fatal greed, as the dwarves, coveting the Silmaril, murdered Thingol and stole the necklace, leaving Doriath in ruin. After King Thingol's murder, Mablung of Doriath sent word to Beron, who gathered allies, including green elves and ents. Together they ambushed the dwarves of Nogrod in the Battle of Sarn Athrad, retrieving the Norglamir, which Beron gave to Luthien. She wore the Silmaril as a sign of their love, its light said to have made Luthien the fairest vision east of the sea. After Luthien's death, the Norglamir passed to their son, Dior, who became the ruler of Doriath. Hearing of the Silmaril's presence, the sons of Fëanor, bound to their oath, attacked Doriath. The assault resulted in the second kinslaying, and the death of King Dior, as well as the deaths of 3 of Fëanor's sons. As Menegroth was left in ruin, the Silmaril escaped with Dior's daughter, Elwing, who fled to the havens of Sirion. For many years, Elwing, now married to Eärendil, a mighty mariner, kept the Silmaril in Sirion, where it became a beacon for its people. The surviving sons of Fëanor, relentless in their pursuit, demanded its return, but the people of Sirion refused to yield it, valuing it as a rightful heirloom of Beron and Luthien. Desperate and driven by their oath, Fëanor's sons assaulted the havens, while Eärendil was away on one of his voyages. But Elwing, refusing to be parted from the jewel, cast herself into the sea with the Silmaril, where she was borne by the grace of Ulmo, the great Vala of the sea, to Eärendil. With the Silmaril, Eärendil undertook a fateful voyage across the shadowy seas to reach Valinor, seeking the aid of the Valar for the beleaguered peoples of Middle-earth. The light of the Silmaril guided him, illuminating his way through perilous waters. When Eärendil finally arrived in Valinor, he presented himself to the Valar and pleaded for mercy on behalf of elves and men. As Eärendil undertook this mission on behalf of the men and elves of Middle-earth, Manwë forbore the punishment of death that was due for stepping foot on Valinor. Moved by his courage and self-sacrifice, the Valar prepared to wage the War of Wrath against Morgoth. In recognition of his sacrifice, the Valar set Eärendil's Silmaril as a star in the heavens, bound upon his brow as he sailed through the skies, becoming a beacon of hope to those who looked up from Middle-earth. With Eärendil's Silmaril in the heavens, the remaining 2 Silmarils remained in Morgoth's hands, embedded in his iron crown. But when the Valar unleashed their fury in the War of Wrath, Morgoth was defeated, and the Silmarils were claimed by Eonwë, the herald of Manwë, though the saga did not end there. Fëanor's 2 surviving sons, Maedhros and Maglor, felt the unrelenting call of their oath and stole the Silmarils. However, because of their relentless crimes and betrayals committed in the pursuit of the jewels, they were no longer worthy to bear them, and the Silmarils burned their hands with unbearable pain. In despair, Maedhros cast himself and his Silmaril into a fiery chasm, while Maglor, overcome with sorrow, threw his Silmaril into the sea and wandered the shores in grief for the rest of his days. Thus, the Silmarils were scattered across the realms of Arda, fulfilling the prophecy of Mandos that they would one day dwell in earth, sea, and sky. But this was not the end of the Silmaril's tale. In the final vision of the world's end, Dagor Dagorath, it is foretold that Fëanor will return to reclaim the Silmarils at the end of all things, when Morgoth returns and plunges the world into darkness once more. As he is finally defeated for good, the Silmarils shall be recovered, and Fëanor will break them. With their light, Yavanna shall restore the 2 trees, and the world will be bathed once more in their pure and undying light, bringing a new age of eternal bliss as the world is remade. For a deeper dive into the Dagor Dagorath, check out the video popping up on your screen right now. Thank you for joining me on today's journey into the mythic tale of the Silmarils. Your support brings these stories to life, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to help me reach my goal of 10,000 by the end of the year. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.